What is communication? Does it require language, syntax, grammar, symbols? Does it require a mouth and ears, or a body and eyes? Does it even require a brain? Does it require intention or cognition? Or is it simply information shared between organisms? Plants and insects interact in amazing ways. Insect pollinators are specialized to feed on the nectar and pollen in flowers. But how do they find these flowers? Moth pollinators are species of the dusk and the night. They can't rely on their eyes to find food. Instead, they rely on long antennae to smell the volatile scents emitted by flowers. These scents contain hundreds of naturally produced, individual chemical compounds. To the human nose, some of these smell fragrant, some spicy, and some we can't smell at all. But to a moth, they represent a complex signal, a symphonic message indicating where food is. Following floral scent trails, they can feed, and as they feed, they pick up and transfer pollen from one plant to another, allowing plants to set seed. The scent bouquet of flowers are like an olfactory advertisement, a channel of communication to the specific pollinating insects they rely on. Moths, but also bees, flies, and other insects, are part of an ancient symbiosis that relies on floral scent signals. Pollinators also need to reproduce, and for that, they need to find food for their young. Caterpillars of most moth species can only eat and survive on a limited number of plant species, and they can't move very far. So finding the right food, or host plant, is up to the female moth. Listen as she searches far and wide, flying in wide arcs as she smells the night air until she detects the right signal from a suitable plant species. Another symphony of scents, this time from the plant's leaves. She lands. Maybe she drinks the nectar from the plant's flowers. Then she emits her perfumed pheromone, attracting the male moths who are also casting through the night. After mating, she finds just the right spot on the plant to lay eggs, usually on the sheltered underside of a leafy umbrella. She might lay a few eggs, or 100, all depending on her assessment of the plant. Days later, the eggs hatch, and the caterpillars emerge and start feasting on the fresh foliage, growing, and feasting more before they become adults. Every step of this process is guided by silent chemical communication. She flies off. Plants can't run, can't hide, can't avoid. They're stuck, immobile on the ground. When the hungry caterpillars start feeding, they can't call for help. Or can they? When the eggs hatch and the larvae take their first bites of leaf, remarkable changes happen inside the plant. Suddenly, the plant's hormones react, coursing through the leaf veins. Like our own hormones, like an adrenaline rush, they cause incredible changes in the plant's physiology. The plant starts to produce toxic chemicals that slow caterpillar feeding. The very smell of the plant changes. New scents, new signals are emitted from the leaves and flowers. The chemical symphony is now in a new key. Listening for these changes are predatory insects who search for the characteristic smell of an attacked plant and follow those signals to find their caterpillar prey. Some eat the caterpillars outright. Some are parasitoids and lay eggs inside the caterpillars where they feed and develop on the immobilized moth larvae. Did the plant cry for help? Or was the predator just listening? All insects struggle in the concrete environment of cities, but none more so than moths. Nectar is scarce overall. The food plants for the caterpillars are few and far between, because these are wild plants, grasses and small weeds that are unappreciated by humans. It's hotter in cities, drier, and pollution of all kinds wreaks havoc on insect senses. Air pollution from cars, from heating our homes, reacts with the natural communication chemicals from plants, corrupting their signals, changing the symphony to a cacophonous riot, making it harder for insects to find the right plants to feed on. Lights from cars, from houses, from street lamps act as perverse attractants, drawing in nocturnal species and preventing them from dispersing or foraging. And if they do find the right plants to lay eggs on, the larvae hatch to find that the leaves have been rendered less nutritious by exposure to this pollution. How can we help these nocturnal creatures? How can we help insects? We start by listening, by understanding the ways they communicate.